Hi, this is Dr. Elizabeth Saunders Medlock with your life coaching tip of the week for the week of May 6th, 2013. First of all, I want to say that, again, these tips are shorter. And the tip that I'm talking about today came from my main newsletter. You can check out my newsletter every month. I put it up at the beginning of the month at www.lifebydesigncoaching.org. I also write a blog, The Adventures of the Blowy Girl, and you can check that out on my Facebook page, Life by Design Coaching. I post it there sometimes. I also post it on Twitter at Lisabeth Medlock or at www.theadventuresoftheblowy that's BLOVI girl.blogspot.com. The Blowy Girl blog is what I base my book on, and the book that I'm trying to sell right now is called Enlighten: How Losing My Sight Gave Me Vision. And hopefully this month and the next month you'll see me doing talks and readings from that book or based on that book. So the tip that I'm going to do today is something that was in my newsletter, as I said, which is how to have more meaningful conversations. If you think about the conversations, we have conversations from the time we wake up in the morning, like the conversation I have with my daughter to get out of bed and get dressed, to the conversations that we have all during our day. Not even conversations with other people, conversations that go on in our heads, conversations when we're talking back to the TV or talking back to the radio or talking out loud to ourselves. Yes, I do that. And the whole day is filled with conversation. I am not a huge fan of the how's the weather conversation, and I'm not good at it. I never have been. I like to have deep, meaningful conversations with people. And so there's a list of questions that I think that you can use when you want to have more meaningful conversations, when you really want to get to know people on a deeper level and you're kind of sick of having like, how's the weather, how was your week? Those are great informational things, but I don't think they're great for getting to know people. So the question that I like to ask people when I'm getting to know them, and I do ask this on dates too, is what are you the most passionate about, or what things are you the most passionate about? You can ask people, what is your greatest strength, or what is your biggest weakness that you would want to change? What's a place that you've visited in the world that you'd like to go back to again, and why? What's the one thing you like most about the work that you do? What is the most fun activity that you do outside of work that you love to do, that makes you happy, that brings you joy? You could ask people who they most admire. What's the best book that you've read in the last couple months, and why? And I like to ask people that because I like to read good books, so I get their book recommendations. What makes you laugh? So what do you find the most funny and that really cracks you up? And what makes you the most scared? I think those are really good questions to get to know people. You could ask people things like, if you had all the money in the world, I love to ask this question, I ask this to clients, if you had all the money in the world, all the time in the world, what would you be doing? And how is it different from what you're doing now? So when you ask these types of questions, it just brings a whole new level to the conversation. And I think it's a way to get to know people better, to get to know really who they are, what they like to do, what they're passionate about, how they view themselves, what's important to them, when you ask this level of question. The one question that I don't like to ask, this is funny, I'll go ahead and admit this. So I'm on a date one time, and I asked somebody, we've had a lot of conversation, what is something that you really want to know about me that you haven't asked me? And here's what the guy said: I really want to know what you look like without your clothes on. So women and guys, I don't recommend you ask that question of, what else do you want to know about me on a date. Maybe I don't have it on my list because of that experience that I had. But the other questions that I put on this list and I've said today, I think are great. And you can think of a lot more. But they just, again, make you have more meaningful conversations, more interesting, and you learn more. This has been your tip of the week, and I will join you next week for another tip. I hope you have a wonderful week, and check out my blog on Wednesday.